G'day champions, I'm Stuart Stone, this is healthandfitnessover40.com, and today we're coming to you from Nan Tien Temple, a Buddhist temple about an hour's drive south of Sydney, just outside the city of Wollongong. And today's message, we're going to examine what was considered to be one of the anomalies when it came to healthy eating, as in the vast majority of the research says we need a plant-based green diet in order to be healthy. But of course, some of you bright sparks out there always come up with the question, what about the Maasai warriors of Africa? Yep, don't they get most of their nutrition from meat, and also the blood of the yaks that they herd, and also the milk of these animals? And when you start looking at the research, there was a gentleman called Dr. Mann who spent a lot of the time with these people from 1964 through to the 1980s. And what he found was this. Number one, when you look at the Maasai culture, they actually only ate meat 1 to 5 times a month. In other words, meat consumption wasn't anywhere near as high as the Western world initially thought. In fact, their main staple in their diet was maize, grains. Yes, they drank a heck of a lot of milk. Also what he found was, these people were exceedingly active. And that the average American, to be as active as the Maasai, would need to walk an extra 19 kilometres, that's around 12 miles per day. In other words, they'd need to be walking 3 to 4 hours each and every day to be as active as the Maasai warriors. And the Maasai people, their body mass indexes were hovering around the 20 mark. That's the low end of normal. In fact, what he was finding was from their nutrition, they are effectively intermittently fasting on a daily basis, as well as being exceedingly active. And one of the byproducts of this, Dr. Mann managed to do over 50 autopsies on the Maasai, and what he found was their blood vessels were a lot larger than ours, especially the blood vessels around our heart and in our major vessels, because of the physical activity. Their bodies had adapted so that they could get more oxygen-rich blood to their muscles by making larger blood vessels. But what about atherosclerosis, heart disease? Well, what he found in these autopsies, and the majority of these men were in their 40s, was that they had extensive atherosclerotic plaques in their blood vessels. In other words, yeah, they had heart disease, they had artery disease. In fact, they had scarring on their aorta and on the valves in their heart, which is diet related, and we find it extensively in the Western populations. But he also found that they had no incidence of heart attacks. They did not die from heart attacks, these men. There's possibly 2 reasons for that. Number one, they died of other causes, but also because of all the physical activity and the much larger blood vessels, even though there were plaques lining the inner sides of the blood vessels, they weren't large enough to actually block the blood vessels and create all the symptoms of heart disease that we see in the Western world. So yeah, their diet, high in milk, fairly low in meat, but very high in milk, promoted atherosclerosis, heart disease. But because of their physical activity, it wasn't sufficient to block the arteries because the blood vessels were so large. And that makes sense in my own family. I have 2 of my 4 grandparents lived well into their 90s. My mum's mother made it 3 months short of 100, and my dad's dad made it to 95 and a half. And they ate meat every day. In fact, Dad's dad was a dairy farmer, so meat and dairy was very high in his diet. But their saving grace was that they were so physically active, that generation, so they could get away with eating more animal products. In today's day and age, with a more sedentary lifestyle, we need to reduce our meat intake to lower that risk of heart disease. And the best and healthiest way to do that is with a largely plant-based green diet. So that's our little talk today. The details are down in the description, showing you the sources for Dr. Mann's research with the Maasai, and to find out more about lifestyle changes that are going to keep us healthier for longer so that we can live a long, happy, healthy life, click on the red Apple heart up here to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and also go down into the descriptions, click on our Facebook page and click like for us, and also jump on healthandfitnessover40.com and claim your free book, 3 Simple Steps That Can Save Your Life. We'll talk to you again soon.